Let's see if I remember how to podcast. Good morning. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa and I am the maker behind Missouri Makes. You can find me on Ravelry as Missouri Makes. You can also find me on Instagram as Missouri_Makes. Anything that I talk about in this episode and any past episode that I have, you will find the show notes in my Ravelry group, and that should be linked down below. So anything that you find interesting, you should be able to find a link for it in the show notes. Now that we got the important stuff out of the way, I guess grab you a cup of something and let's get started. On my first cup of coffee. You would think it'd be Monday. I'm already mixing up my words. But today is Thursday. I think today's the 26th. I think it's the 26th. It is, because tomorrow's the 27th and that's Lulu's birthday. But if you are new to the channel, I don't want to mess that up. I am a crocheter / knitter / yarn dyer. I work with beads a little bit. I do a little bit of everything because I love crafting. It doesn't really matter what it is. I just like working with my hands. I've made beads out of paper. I've done wire working. I've done a little bit of everything. It's just something that I really like doing, is crafting with my hands. And so mostly what I do is crochet and yarn dyeing, but I do have a few knitted objects that I'm working on, and I'm actually working on trying to figure out how to write the pattern up so that it is available, because when I crochet, usually, unless I'm following a pattern, I usually write the pattern down and have it available. And I do have a couple of patterns in my Ravelry shop for sale right now. One of them being the dark home shawl, and that one released, it was the Friday the 13th, because it was the Friday before we went on vacation. We just got home the 19th, I believe. We got home from vacation. We went to Kentucky and seen the Ark Encounter, and it was amazing. It was more, I don't know, it was huge. It was humbling how big it was, and it's supposed to be a replica of the actual size of the Ark, and so it's just amazing to see what Noah went through and what he built back in his time. And of course it is an interpretation. They don't know every little detail about it, but I mean, the way they present it, it makes sense, and it's humbling seeing everything the way it was. We went and ate at their restaurant in the Ark Encounter area, and I don't recommend that. It was kind of like buffet style, but it was average. We paid $17 per adult, and then Jody was $9, and in my opinion it wasn't worth that. But I mean, at the end of the day, if we would have left and went and found lunch somewhere, it would have ended up being the same if you include gas and stuff. So it was okay, and it was part of the experience, and we really enjoyed everything about the Ark. My glasses are messy. But yeah, we went and sat in a lecture about dinosaurs and dragons and stuff like that, and them being in the Bible, which I think was a really cool thing. I have some pictures and videos, and if I can figure out my new editing program, I'll try to insert some at the end of this video so you can kind of get a gist. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started in on crochet and knitting and whatever else. Since we're on the topic of vacation, I'll go ahead and talk about the yarn that I bought on vacation. Now this yarn, whenever I first started crocheting, I learned how when I was 14, 15, and I didn't really pick it up till like a year later. I kind of put it down because my tension was so tight. I couldn't get myself to relax enough to have the right tension across, and so I had to take and put it off for about a year and come back to it, and then I really focused on it and worked on my tension so that it was okay. I mean, so this is one of the first yarns that I started using, and I forgot how much I love this yarn. Whenever we went to Michael's, and Jody got some little wolf figurines, because that's what she's into right now, is wolves and dogs and cats and stuff like that. So she got some little figurines, and I got some Lion Brand Heartland. And I forgot how, oops, sorry about that. I forgot how much I loved this yarn. They've got a new label on it now, so it looks a little different, but the feel of it, the way it works up, is the same. And I absolutely, if I had to put a top 5 yarns in a list, this would be probably really close to number 1. I love Lion Brand Heartland. And I've got a project started in this yarn, and you'll see why. It's got a shine to it that is just, I absolutely love it. And I got 3 different colors, and I got 2 of each. And I've already worked with one of each color, so I have one of each color here to show you. I'm thinking about doing a review on this and kind of making a swatch so you can see what it looks like worked up. But I just put out a video Tuesday about crocheting the V-stitch, and the picture that you see for the thumbnail and at the beginning I show you a purple piece, and that's what this is Heartland. And so I got, it's 100% acrylic, 251 yards, 230 meters, number 4 weight. And so I got Hot Springs, I got Kobuk Valley. Let me show you. That's what the label says. Oh, there we go. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And then I got Dry Tortugas. And so put the 3 together, and you've got the perfect palette. That's one thing. I took and put blues together, and then I took and put purples together, and I asked my husband, you know, what do you think? Because these are the palettes, this is the yarn that I'm looking at that I want. And he's like, well, you're a purple lover, so isn't it obvious you need purple? And so I got purple. I got a purple palette, and whenever you look at it like that, you wonder if they'll go together, but once I started working on it, it does. And here, I haven't hidden all the ends. I've got most of them hidden, but see that? See how pretty that is? It's upside down. Hold on. But yeah, I just put a video out on how to do the V-stitch. And the V-stitch is a easy pattern to do. It's not hard. It just consists of double crochets and chains. If you know how to double crochet, we can get through that easily. And this color palette, I am absolutely in love with. I think it's going to be one of my favorite pieces that I make. And it is Lion Brand Heartland. And I got it at Michael's. I don't know if it's sold anywhere else, but we don't have a Michael's near us. The closest thing I got to a yarn store is Hobby Lobby, and they're about 30-45 minutes away. And so whenever I saw that they had a Michael's about, I want to say it was about 20 minutes or so away, I was like, we gotta go. And actually, he took me there before we went to see the Ark Encounter. But yeah, I like Michael's. The yarn stores that I'm used to back home in Arkansas was Joann's and Hobby Lobby. I went to a Michael's every once in a while. If we went to like Little Rock or whatever, I would go to a Michael's. So Michael's is okay. It's just not what I'm used to. I like Michael's. They have a lot of different options. I just don't know how all of the coupons and how you can stack and do. I had a 20% off coupon off of regular priced items. These were regular priced, and so was Jody's stuff. I think these were $5.49, $5.99 each, something like that. And I got 20% off all of them. I just went on the website and found it. It wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, and this, I don't know when this is going to come out. I'm working on a pattern for this, but I've got 2 different patterns in mind for this. And so I'm waiting to see what I want to do, because this would be a gorgeous baby blanket, or I can take and throw some panels on it and turn it into a jacket. I may do both. I may have a baby blanket and then later on turn it into a jacket, because the jacket is what I would use. I don't know any baby girls that would need a blanket right now, but I think it would be gorgeous. Okay, on to the next thing. While I was on vacation, I took a few things with me. I'm falling. Everything's falling. I took some of my hand-dyed yarn with me and a crochet hook, and thought, you know, I'm going to be in the car for 6.5 hours one way, and I'm going to have something to do. And I can't tell you how many times I took this project out because it wasn't working, and tried again, and then took it out, and tried again, and took it out. And finally, I think I've got it. It's a little big for me, but I know somebody who has really, really thick hair, and so I think this will work. This colorway is Street Art. You can see the blues and yellows and greens. And I took a ponytail with me, made it into a ponytail hat. And all the stitches that I used in it, I used bobbles and half doubles and V stitches. Now, like I said, sorry about that. Like I said, it's a little big for me. I think it will fit a size 23 inch head, and I'm 22 inch head around, and so it's a little big. But because I'm one that I like my hats snug, but it looks okay. And then up here you can do your messy bun or high ponytail. And I don't know what I'm going to call it. I don't know yet. I don't have a name for it. But I can write that pattern up and have that for another pattern in my Ravelry store. I also had talked about doing some DK weight socks for my husband. What's her name? Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady just put a pattern out not too long ago for DK weight vanilla socks. And I pulled out some blue yarn, and I had 2 skeins. I don't know how much it takes for a DK weight pair of socks. I don't know how much yarn it takes for it. I've heard that if you have DK weight yarn, that it takes like 110, 120 grams. But I took 200-gram hanks and I rolled them together so that I don't have to pull from the same skein. But what it is I have fingering weight yarn. This is one of my hand-dyed yarns. I can't remember the name for this one, but this is my fingering weight yarn, and she says that you can take fingering weight yarn, hold it double, and make a sock. And that's what I'm doing. I finished the leg of it. I've got the heel made, and now I'm working on the foot of the sock. And the needles that I'm using a 3.25 millimeter knitting needle, and these are my Chiagu, what are they called, twists. They come in that little red pouch. But I have, the pack comes with a short needle and a long needle. And so what I do is I use the longer needle on my working hand, my right hand, and I use the shorter needle on my left hand that receives the stitches. And so, and I think the way I knit is continental, where you hold the yarn in your left hand and flick. I hold the yarn in my left hand like I do for crochet. And so whenever I try to put the yarn over in my right hand, my hand does not want to work right, and so I leave it in my left hand and do it that way, and it seems to work for me. The only thing that I have a problem with making socks is the fact that my hands tend to cramp up, and I don't know why. That's why I have the socks on 2 of the circulars here. 1, 2, because I've got half of the stitches on one and half of the stitches on the other, because whenever I put the stitches together on one, it seems too tight for me and my hands tend to cramp. And so I split them off onto 2 different ones, hoping that that would work. And the pattern, if I'm not mistaken, hold on, there we go. The pattern is a heel flap and gusset. Is that what it's called? I know that there's afterthought heel, fish lips heel. There's several different heels that you can do. I've never done any of them. This is literally my second sock I've ever made. I have a gray sock somewhere that I made. Never made the other one because I just don't like the pattern. You know, I guess whenever I started the pattern, I could omit the part that I didn't like, but I didn't know I didn't like it until I started it, and then I didn't want to take it out because to me, knitting takes longer for me than probably an average knitter, because I have not knitted that long. I've knitted off and on for about a year and a half or so. I don't have very many things that I have knitted that I have actually bound off and have. I have a shawl that I made. I've got a sweater over there that's almost finished. And then I've got a couple things in the back in the house that I'm working on, but it's a slow process for me. Crochet, I can whip out stuff like nobody's business with crochet. Knitting takes me longer. Therefore, when I make a mistake, I don't want to have to take it out because I feel like I have put so much work into this piece that I don't know. I don't know if it's me feeling like a failure because I have to take it out and try again or what. But I usually just leave the mistake in and keep going because I don't like having to take it out. And so I made one sock, but it didn't feel like making the other one because I really didn't like certain parts of the pattern. So I went and found DK weight socks thinking a little bit thicker yarn. And so maybe it'll go by a little bit faster and I can get it done. Maybe it won't be as hard on my hands. And it's vanilla, so there's no stitch detail in it that I'm going to have to continue to look at this pattern. I can just knit. And that's what I like about this pattern is I don't have to stress over, am I doing the right stitch? Am I putting it in the right spot? What am I doing? You know, I can just sit and knit. And that's what I've been doing. I don't have sock blockers to put this kind of stuff on. Maybe one day. But that is the sock I'm knitting. And I'm knitting the biggest size because I think my husband wears a 12 or a 13. And so I am knitting him the biggest size. I don't know if it'll fit. I've tried it on my foot and like it fits comfortably on me, but it's not tight like a sock should be. And so I'm thinking for him it'll fit right. I think it'll be just fine for him because his feet are bigger than mine. I wear a size 9 in regular shoe, and when I wear boots and stuff I'll go up to a 9.5 or a 10. And so this should fit him, I'm hoping. I hope he likes the colors. When I show it to him he seems to like it, but I think he wants black socks because he wants to be able to wear them with his suits when he goes to church. And so I figured the next pair of socks that I make will be black so that he has a pair of black socks that he can wear. Because he surprises me whenever we got married. I mean, before we got married, he wanted me to make him a blanket. I made him a blanket. He wanted me to make him a hat and cowl so that he can wear it in the wintertime because he gets out into the weather with his job. And so he wanted a hat and cowl. He wants socks. He pesters me about it. He's like, when are my socks going to be done? You know, it surprises me because I hear some other crafters, some other crocheters and knitters, and they're like, my husband won't wear anything I make, so I'm just going to make for myself, or I'll make for myself and my kids or whatever. And he's the complete opposite. He wants me to make him things, and he'll actually wear them. He wore out the hat and cowl that I made him, wore it smooth out, and still was wearing it. And I'm sitting there going, no, you need to throw it away. It looks nasty. But and that surprises me because I think he wears my stuff more than I wear my stuff. To be honest, I mean, I like my shawls. I wear my shawls and stuff, but I haven't got very many jackets and stuff like that that I wear for myself. I want to make me some socks, but like I said, I've only made one sock, and I'm working on his now, so I don't have any socks for me. They say whenever you make handmade socks, you never want to wear store-bought socks again. And in that case, I'm going to have to be having a sock on my needles at all times, which is okay. I'm okay with that. But, yeah. I can't wait till that's done to see if it works. If it works, then I'll probably be making a lot of socks. And I hear some people say DK weight socks because they're so thick you don't want to wear them in your shoes. And then I hear other people and they're like, I wear them in my shoes all the time. And then some people are like, I just wear them as house slippers. And so I don't know. This is a thick material, but I don't think it's going to be so thick that you can't wear it in your shoes. I don't think it will be. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so what else do I got? Is this my last piece? No, I've got more stuff to show. I guess this will be a longer episode because we're already at 25 minutes. Okay, so I showed you this in my last video, and I know I keep showing it, and you're probably tired of seeing it, but I have finally written up the pattern and got it posted to be tested. If you're interested in testing this pattern or any other pattern, I will leave a link in the description box where you can fill out a form and join my testers group so that you can test stuff. It'll be down in the description box. But the thing different about this time that I didn't have on last time, at least I don't think I had it on last time. No, because I put them on, finished putting them on Saturday, and I had an episode Friday. So, what's different is I got buttons on it. These are 1-inch buttons. They're just little plastic buttons that you get at like Joann's or whatever. It's not like any expensive buttons because this size is a size large, and this one took 8 buttons. I put 8 buttons on this, and I didn't hide my ends. But yeah, I'm not going to wear this long because it's hot. But on this side, you got the buttonhole. And I didn't have a name for it before. And I have finally figured out a name. And I'm going to name it the Clarissa shawl. Not shawl. Clarissa Cardi is what it's called. And if you look, I use... Oh, there's more ends that I didn't hide. Does that surprise you? I hate hiding ends. This piece here seemed like it was going to take forever, and I still have a few that I gotta hide. I just put it on hold because I would rather podcast. But you see the stitch detail. All of it is double crochets and chains, and then at the end, before you start sewing the shoulders, you put half double crochets and stuff in to kind of fill in the holes. But it is a easy pattern, and I think that if you work with it, if you work on it, I think a beginner can do it. I think that because this stitch pattern is easy, and the way I construct the jacket is not hard. It's not hard at all. I start from, it goes from the bottom up, and you work panels and do it that way. And then the sleeves, you just add stitches here and work across. You don't work the sleeves separately and attach them. So that's easy. And so we've got double crochets and chains here with a little bit of half double. The sleeve is worked in half double, and then this part is worked in single crochet, and so is the button band. And so if you know how to do a few decreases, because at the end of the sleeve here we do single crochet decrease to kind of give it that puffy, the baggy look on your arms. But the Clarissa Cardi is not hard to make. I think that if I would have stayed focused on it, I made this cardigan in about a week. It's not hard to make. It goes up fast because you're doing double crochets mostly. The sleeves took me probably longer than the body of the jacket, and that's only because I procrastinated about it. So this is not hard to do. I recommend it to anybody that wants to start working on garments, crocheted garments, and Yeah, you can do it in solid colors, you can do it in 10 colors, you can do it in 3 colors. I did mine in 2, and that's because that's what I had. I've got, yeah, right in here, I had a big gray skein of, what did I use? Bernat Baby Sport, I believe it was. And it's a big item on my shelf, and I'm trying to work some of this off so that, because I've got a whole bucket full of yarn off to the side, and so I want to be able to put that on my shelf and kind of clean my space up. And so that was a big ticket item that I can take off my shelf and work up. And it's a sport weight, which it says sport, but I think it was classified as a 3. And I mixed it with a 4 weight, which is the purple. And the purple didn't have labels on it. So I don't know how much yards was in the purple. I did my measurements for per size, because this goes in sizes extra small to 5X. And the way I did it was by grams. This gray was classified as a 3 weight, and the purple was obviously a 4, and they pair well together. You can't tell that there's a big difference in the weight. They look nice together. But you use a 5mm crochet hook and work it. I used 2 plus a partial of another purple skein. They were from mystery bags, or like melons that I had. I think I got them from Joann's, and they were just sitting on my shelf. I'd never used them. I've had them for probably 3 or 4 years and never used them, and decided to take them off my shelf and work with them because, like I said, I'm trying to clean some of this up so that I can add more too. And so, yeah, because I didn't know the yardage of the purple, I did this garment by grams instead. And so the grams that I list per size, you may need a little bit more or you may need less. It just depends on your tension and your gauge and all that. If you meet gauge. And another thing is I didn't block my swatch. Both of the yarns were acrylic, and I don't see a big difference in acrylic whenever I block it. And the way I block is I do wet block. And so I didn't see a big difference whenever I blocked it. And whenever I wash this cardigan, I don't think that I'll see a huge difference in it. I may be wrong. But whenever I block acrylic, I've never in the past seen a big difference. I'm debating on if I want to block this before I go and do anything else to it, because I'm at the point I'm hiding ends, and then I can start on whatever next part I want to do. And it's 100% acrylic, but it feels different than this. This is, I don't know even how to explain it. This has got a shine to it. This reminds me of Karen Simply Soft in the way it shines and the way it feels in your hands. It's soft and it's got a sheen to it. And so I don't know if it's going to react differently. And so I'm debating on if I want to block it. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Leave them down in the comment section. Let's see. I don't have any more in that bag. So I guess my last thing that I'm going to show you before I go on to the next section of the podcast is I believe I showed you my yarn that I dyed. This is my fall colorway. I don't have a specific name for it yet because I haven't put it out for purchase yet. I wanted to make a pattern to go with it. This is the same yarn that I used for my dark home shawl. It is 100% Peruvian Highland wool, non-superwash. It is a number 2 weight. And I'm making a triangular shawl, and I work from the neck down, just like the Darkholm shawl. And I've went through the first skein. I'm hoping that I can make this in a 2 skein project, because that's my happy or my sweet spot for selling kits, is being able to make a shawl like this and it only taking a couple skeins and being able to pair everything together. I don't know what I'm going to do whenever I do like garments, like jackets and stuff like that, because the quantity is going to be different. And so I'm going to have to really think on that one before I do garments. I'm really enjoying shawls and stuff like that right now, making kits like that. The hook that I'm using, looks like I am using a 5.5 millimeter. This is, I think this is just a Hobby Lobby hook. It's nothing special, but that's my go-to. I like the crochet hooks that have cushioning on them. They feel better on my hands. But yeah, this is the first part of the shawl, and I'm working on a pattern for that. Can you tell that I'm into fall stuff? I dyed this up. And what I was trying to do was figure out, because I wanted like a cranberry kind of color, and this is a tonal. It's not solid. I don't know what it'll show up on camera. I'll see, there's a little bit of tonal there. What I did was I mixed brown and red together. And what I do for my tonals is either put it in my catering pan, or I'll put it in my pot, my stock pot that's up there. And I will take and add one color, fully saturate it, make sure all the color is exhausted, and then I'll go and add the next color. And that's what I did here. This is my sock weight. Yeah, it's my sock weight. It's 75-25 blend. And you can tell that it's been sitting on my porch for a minute, because I usually put my stuff in the shower to dry, and my husband needed the shower, so I moved it to the porch so it's out of people's way. And that is what I got, and I'm really pleased with this color. I don't know what I'm going to do yet with it. I don't know. I know people make shawls with sock weight yarn. A lot of people make 1 skein projects with sock weight yarn. I don't know if I'm going to try socks or if I'm going to try a shawl. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But now that I have finished showing you what I'm currently working on, I've got a few other projects that are in the background, but I haven't made enough progress on them for you to be able to tell a difference. So I'm not going to show those today. And I actually have a couple more projects in the back of my mind that I'm really pushing myself to try to get some of this stuff done before I start, because I don't need any more whips. But the yarn that I want to use is my hand-dyed yarn. This is my tie-dyed purple and black, and I'm really wanting to use that. I've got a project in mind for that, and like I said, I don't know how I'm going to do quantities for garments, but I'm really wanting to make a shirt out of that, and so that's going to take some time to figure out. I think I have 3 skeins of that dyed, and it should make a tank top, like a, not like a sleeveless tank top like this, but it should make a regular t-shirt size for me. I'm a large 1X depending on how the shirt's made and how much ease I want, and so I should be able to make something like that. On to next things. the next thing. I have talked about in the past how, let me find it. I've talked about in the past of like crochet alongs and stuff like that. That I have, what they do is they take and gather up several designers, and those designers make patterns that are available for 24 hours on their day. And so I keep up with some of them, and I'll grab free patterns each day, or at least the ones that I want, and have them in my Ravelry so that I can make later. And I talk about it, but I don't ever show you in time for you to pick any up. And the ones that I'm about to show you are going to be over, I think, the end of this month. I'm not sure because I haven't been following these religiously. I haven't been keeping up with it. And so I don't know the exact day that these will be over. But I know that they're still going, and they should be, they should be going at least until the end of the month. This is today's pattern, and whenever this video goes out, this pattern will no longer be available as a free PDF, but the next one will pop up. And this one is, if I'm not mistaken, this one is being run by Itchin' for Some Stitching, which is Raylan. This is day 26. This pattern belongs to, okay, it's Raylan and co-hosted with Sarah from Ned and Mimi. This pattern is by Brianna K Designs. She is a big time designer. She does a lot of stuff. Her stuff is very nice. I like the aesthetic that she gives in her Instagram. And this is just a cardigan. It's called the Snuggle Puff Cardigan. And I think We Crochet has made sure that each designer had enough yarn to make whatever project it was that they were going to make, if I'm not mistaken. So I think all of the projects in that blog hop, or whatever you call it, the crochet along, I think all of them are made from yarn coming from We Crochet or Knit Picks. And the other one, I don't know if you're into making baby stuff, but this, if I'm not mistaken, this is the second year that Sunflower Cottage Crochet has done the Preemie Crochet Challenge. And again, this is day 26. And this is today's pattern. This one won't be available whenever I post this video, but you'll be able to get the next days. And if I'm not mistaken, this one is for preemies. People who have preemie babies, whether they're still in the hospital or at home or whatever. I think the main goal of this is to make, like, she has the designers make little crochet blocks or preemie hats. I don't know. Hold on, let me look. I see blankets, I see mittens and hats. Yeah. She has the designers that she's gathered together. She's had them make little blocks and for little blankets for the preemies and mittens and hats and stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, she is encouraging the designers and the followers to donate to their local hospital for preemies. If I'm not mistaken, don't take my word for that, because I remember last year's, and I think that's the way it was they encouraged you to donate preemie stuff. But this one is by Madam Stitch. You can see in the description there where she is directing you. But yeah, this is all on Instagram. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I will try to make sure that I link all of this to where it's supposed to go. So, and if I'm not mistaken, both roundups are done where you go to the person who gathered the designers together, and they give you a code that the designers gave them, and then you go to the designer's website, click on whatever button it is that they want you to click on, and you enter the code, and it gives you a free PDF. And they do that every day. Every 24 hours the designer changes. It's a different designer. And so they do that. And I think the whole preemie challenge or whatever, I think that is a really cool thing to do. I've never made preemie stuff and donated it. Not that I haven't thought about it, but you know, life and the way it happens, it's no excuse. I should still do it. And I may with like scraps and stuff, but I'm always afraid of allergies. You know, what if that baby is allergic to something specific and they get an allergic reaction to something that I made, you know? Or the fact that I have animals. I don't have my cats anymore, but we've got the puppies and we plan on keeping one of them, you know? I don't want to set anything off. It worries me. And so I don't make stuff for babies that I'm donating to hospitals and stuff because it worries me. But yeah. Maybe I will look, I hear that there's a list that you can get from whatever local hospital that you're trying to donate to, and they will give you a list of things you can and cannot make, or can and cannot wash it in or something. Maybe I can look into that and get some stuff made, because I do have quite a bit of acrylic here, and acrylic is supposed to be the one thing that people don't get allergic to. So, I don't know. Maybe there are people out there that are allergic to acrylic. I just never have met any. I know there's people who are sensitive to wools and plant fibers and stuff like that. Some people say that whenever they work with cotton, crochet or knit with cotton, that it dries their skin out. Stuff like that. I'm not I'm not sensitive to wool, because like this is 100% non-superwash wool. I'm not sensitive to it. To me, it's not scratchy. To me, it feels nice. And then I have superwash wool that is super soft. Yes, it is softer than the non-superwash, but it's still, you know, it doesn't. I'm not sensitive to stuff like that. I have texture problems where it can be either food or it can be different things that I touch, and it bothers me. And the texture of it, you know, the feel of it. But the wool and stuff like that, I don't have a sensitivity to. So, I don't know. There's some acrylics that the feel of it bother me. But it's not that it's, not that I'm allergic to it. It's just the feel of it, you know? So. But yeah. I think that is everything that I have for today. How long did I go? 48 minutes. Good grief. Y'all are going to have a long video to watch. If it was me, because I like to watch the hour and 2 hour and 3 hour long podcast episodes. I like to do that, but I like to watch it in like 30-minute increments. I don't watch it all at once because I can't seem to sit still that long. You know, crocheter, knitter, you should be able to sit and do all that for a long period of time, but I can't. I can't sit down for that long. I'll crochet or whatever for a few minutes, and then I'll get up, and because my brain works 90 to nothing, and so I'll think, oh, I gotta go do this, and I'll put my work down and I'll go work on this for a minute, and then I'll come back and I'll work, and I may only be up for 5 minutes, but that's long enough to kind of reset my brain, and then I can come and sit down for a little while and watch a little bit more. So yeah. I think that I will stop rambling so that you can go on about your day. I hope that you have a wonderful day. I hope that it is not smotheringly hot, if that's a word. I hope that it's not hot where you're at. Here we've got a heat advisory. It'll be in the 90s, but the real feel is, yesterday was like 108, which is not the hottest it's been. We've gotten to 120 in the real feels. And so, but all this week we have a heat advisory. So I'm recording at like 7 o'clock in the morning so that I can stand to sit here on the porch and record, because I don't like recording in my back room and I don't like recording at my kitchen table. I like being in front of my yarn whenever I record. And so I made sure that I started recording early so that I could handle it. It's probably in the late 80s right now, but yeah. Go and do something fun for yourself, whether it's sitting on the couch crocheting and watching some white collar. I might be into white collar right now. Or going outside and swimming, or whatever it is that you're interested in. Go and do it. Go have fun this weekend. You know, you only live once.
If there was...
What's that?
Nothing.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Hit it. Stick your finger in
I hear owls.
What are you talking about? Just tell me what you want.
It's like this fake grass stuff, like before.
Oh, the fake grass. Yeah.
Michael's.
We were walking out of
Maybe
that,
someday.
whenever we were walking out of that store, you said that eventually you would leave.
Maybe.
Like, what? You'll be coy. Of course you will.
My, oh, you can see reminders of our activity.
You gonna push the button?
Oh, a local flood. Who told you that? God said he was going to wipe out all flesh that lived on land. If he was speaking only of a local flood, it seems like God would have told me to move instead of spending decades building this ark. Plus, I wouldn't have needed to bring the flying creatures, since they can easily get away from a local flood. Do you have any more questions? How was I able to fit all the animals? Ah, good question. But fitting the animals on the ark was actually not too difficult. You see, God knew just how big the ark would need to be. so his instructions were perfect to fit all the animals and all the needed food and supplies. And thankfully, God didn't send the largest of each kind.
Alright, let's let somebody else push you.
That's a good question. My favorite animal. There are so many to choose from. Ooh, I like the tiny hovering bird that can fly in all directions, even backwards. My wife, she likes that tall, long-necked brown and white animal with the fuzzy knobs on its head. How did I find all the animals? Well, it really wasn't hard to find the animals, since God brought them right to me, just as he said he would. I just wondered when he would send them. We were nearly finished building the ark when hundreds of spectacular animals arrived. I should have known. God's timing is perfect, and he always keeps his promises.
That's one more question.
Any more questions? How many animals are on the ark? That's a good question. There are about 1,400 kinds of animals on the ark, and this works out to be fewer than 7,000 animals. I don't remember the exact numbers. I put my son Shem in charge of keeping track of those details.
Yeah, that was neat.
Good.
Hebrew. You should be learning Hebrew with that.
No.
Wanted to drink it for time.
Overboard the raptor, no manner beast. These are all the dangerous books that teach
The dangerous books.
That's what they say because they teach it as a cute children's story when it's not a cute children's story. Here. 7 Ds of deception. Disregarding